have us link to this video called The Red Subclass is Real and I Can Prove It. Came out 13 hours ago. Let's hear him out, okay?
Bit of a different type of video I'm making today. This is my first whiteboard video.
It's your first one?
I'm planning on upgrading it eventually, but this is a new work in progress.
You'll upgrade if it gets a lot more views. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
For the type of videos that I might make in the future. As we all know, in the community, there's been some grand conspiracies about the potential Red Subclass.
Actually, that's not the proper usage of conspiracy.
The 6th subclass is secret, and they're gonna bring it in Renegade.
Yeah, we got our answer. They didn't keep it secret. There is no Red Subclass.
Well, as we know, Renegades came out, and yeah, we got no Red Subclass. But Bungie, I think, teased the existence of this subclass through the new Eclipse Energy.
Dude, in Shadowkeep, they teased the Red Subclass through Nightmares. Dude, in Lightfall, they teased the Yellow Subclass through Resonance. Dude,
which they were talking about throughout the Renegades campaign. This Eclipse Energy is the same energy that was used in the Nightfall station weapon, which is basically the Death Star of the story.
Guys, it's Star Wars, so...
It also empowered Premier Loom through his chest piece when we were fighting him in the final mission. And he said, "This Eclipse Energy is an anathema to you, but I use it to make myself strong." So I think Bungie is doing something a little similar that they did with the Shadowkeep campaign.
Ooh, Shadowkeep dropped.
And at the end of the Shadowkeep campaign, where they hinted towards the existence of stasis.
They hinted towards stasis, and then they actually delivered with stasis. In this case, they've hinted towards a third subclass millions of times over. And we got nothing. We have nothing. There's nothing. That's it. But we're gonna keep going.
I think they're hinting at the existence of this 6th Red Subclass. And so in this video, I'm going to be giving this grand theory about
Does he get to the point? How long does he get to the point? I'm gonna skim just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, he starts to write on the board. Eclipse. Cool.
Not paracausal.
Wait, back that up.
Eclipse Energy is not paracausal.
Okay, so if it's not paracausal, then we're done. Case closed.
Paracausality is a term within the lore of Destiny, which basically means it gives you the ability to make your own fate. As we all know, the famous line from the Vault of Glass raid, where, you know, we're fighting the Vex, and we're about to be erased from time, but Guardians make their own fate, and we break this erasure that's about to fall upon us from Atheon. And this is due to our paracausality as Guardians.
Like, paracausality itself is its own thing, right? It's concept. But when you are in Vault of Glass raid, it's not you being paracausal that saves you from it. It's that you are using a force that is paracausal to get around that outcome. So in a way, you're kind of right about the making your own fate. But that, once again, that is just a fucking corporate bullshit, like, headline to sell you in on, like, whoa, it's an expansive world bullshit. Like, it means absolutely nothing at all. Like, paracausality is probably the one more juicy details in the lore, but the rest around it, not so much.
Ability to exist outside the known laws of the universe and do things that are, you know, would be impossible otherwise. You know, things like being able to use void energy to create a black hole in the palm of my hand.
Yeah, this part is going to be correct. Just, it's non-conventional physics, so for those that may still not wrap their head around this, if causality is just a matter of, like, A plus B will equal C, like an order of events, interactions between multiple things, then paracausality is just having the letter C and making up A and B to get that. Or for a even more lobotomized analogy, think Minecraft may just reign on its own, but to use console commands, to make it rain forcibly would be paracausal.
Out of nothing and have it not be able to affect anything around me, right? This is due to a paracausality because in the known laws of the universe, you can't just make a black hole in the palm of your hand and use it however you want. And the paracausality is broken down into two forces that exist within the Destiny universe. And that's the force of the light
You kind of have that flipped around.
and the force of the dark.
It's not light and dark are paracausal forces, not that paracausality is the light and dark. We see this through, like, the 9 is known to be a paracausal force as well.
And these forces, for the longest time within Destiny universe, was believed to be opposed to one another. That the light was good and the dark was bad.
But then they retconned it.
But throughout the years, we've come to learn that that's not true, right?
And they try to frame it in a way that it's like, oh, you were falling for this thing that we've devised to make it seem this way, but then we planned this. No, they didn't. They didn't know what they were doing. In fact, they retconned the dark even entirely as a concept when Destiny 2 first dropped. They changed that quickly when they were left alone.
The light and the dark are neutral forces that exist within the Destiny universe. They are paracausal forces that are responsible to different aspects of the universe. The light is responsible for the material reality.
And then the
right?
dark
so
is the
things like matter,
non-material,
energy,
the ghosts,
and the
spirits.
dark is responsible for the immaterial reality. So like consciousness, spirituality, and there's different properties towards how you can gain access to these paracausal abilities. For example, the light is given, and the dark is taken.
They retconned that, by the way. Just saying.
Right? So what this means is the light can only be granted to you. The power of the light can only be granted to you by
Gaul. It just straps a giant fucking, like, what? A little contraption on the goddamn sphere and is like, your light is mine. But then the traveler wakes up and is like, actually, no, it is not. But he still wielded light for, like, a moment. I mean...
the traveler, and the dark can be accessed...
That was also the same time that the darkness was retconned, so, I mean...
on your own, through your own actions. So basically, any living thing can access powers of the dark, but only those chosen and gifted by the traveler...
the chosen people of the light.
...can use the light. Eclipse, like I said before, is not paracausal. And what a lot of people on, like, the Destiny lore side of Reddit and Twitter, they were saying, after the campaign...
What Reddit and Twitter does to a Guardian.
Eclipse can't be the 6th subclass because it's not paracausal. Because we can only use paracausal abilities, because otherwise, if we use like a Siva subclass, right, as an example, it's conventional. It doesn't break the laws of reality, and so it can be easily...
So what is wrong with that argument? That's accurate. All of the fucking subclasses that we have thus far are magic, right? Which is paracausality. Why would the third and final darkness subclass not be darkness? Because to not be paracausal automatically eliminates it from being darkness.
Like, defeated by conventional means. Unlike paracausal powers, which is... You can't really do much with them. You can't really do much against them because they break the laws of reality. But just because Eclipse is not paracausal...
But we can't do things against them. I'm a little bit, at least between each other, right? Because even in fucking Lightfall, I can't believe I'm referencing that, but there's like light jammers, which forced you to use darkness, which I don't even like as a concept, but I mean, they did it.
Causal, it doesn't mean it's not a power that is on the same level or equal to paracausal abilities. And this is where I'm going to propose the idea that the Eclipse energy falls within the terminology of anti-causal.
Oh,
which is something
boy.
This is my term. I'm coining this myself, okay? I know some people have called it anti-paracausal. I think that's a mouthful. I'm calling it anti-causal because I think it sounds cooler. So
Sounds cooler, but even, like, okay, I'll concede with that. I agree. Sounds better, whatever. But still, anti-causal would just be attacking causality itself, which is conventional. But then, like, if paracausal is what you're trying to be opposite to, then like that doesn't even work under your framing. Like, you're aiming at the wrong thing. Do you see what I mean? Please get it.
you have the paracausal forces of the universe, and then you have this new anti-causal
This new
force of the universe.
anti-causal.
And
There
we
is
see
no
this within
anti-causal though.
the campaign of
There's
Renegades.
only there's causality, paracausality, bam, because it's not like a container of power. It's here's the things that happen naturally. Here's the things that happen because of some external power interjecting its force upon the world. That anti-causal will just fall into that category. It wouldn't be anything different than that because it's still doing the same method, right?
Where when this eclipse energy is used against guardians with paracausal abilities, they die instantly. We saw it when the Nightfall station struck Mars, right? All the guardians that were hit by the attack were instantly killed, but all the people who weren't guardians were left unscathed. The eclipse energy is somehow really good at tackling the paracausal reality. What does it mean to be anti-causal? So there's a couple of answers to this question from, I think, a aspect of more real-life science as well as thematically
Ooh, he's
throughout
gonna
the
get into
story of the
science.
Fate Saga. So first, let's go with the theme. The theme of the Fate Saga that we're in right now is the question of, do we make our own fate, right? Throughout the Light and Darkness Saga, we had this belief that because we're paracausal, we have control over our own fate.
Because that was their selling point. Like, this is the end of the Destiny Light and Dark saga, so you have to make a big deal about that and make it sound climactic. But then they needed to retread old ground because they ran out of material again. I mean that's what happens when you basically just move on from your core theme and then hope to do something bigger and better, but you can't. So you George Lucas.
Own reality. But in the Fate Saga, we're kind of left with this question of
Saga.
Do we really? Because the 9, as revealed in Edge of Fate,
You see, you thought you were free from the strings like Strand, but now you are actually bound to bigger strings like Strand.
have actually been in control the entire time.
Why putting the 9 under anti-causal? They've been said to be a paracausal force since the dawn of fucking time.
They've been pulling the strings in the background the entire time throughout the Light and Darkness Saga, right? Anything that was done in the Light and Darkness Saga, the 9 played a hand in it, even if we didn't realize it.
We just didn't realize it because they never actually foreshadowed anything to do with that. They practically came up with this shit on a whim. Okay. They say vague things, and then they just bring those back up when it's convenient. Same playbook every time. This doesn't mean that there's actually like some validity here about them being like a different counterforce to paracausality, because like I said before, it would fall under the same jurisdiction.
9 have always been involved, and that's because the 9 are fourth dimensional beings who exist outside of time. And so they
outside of time. Oh, I get it. So like when Ikora Rey got hit by the fucking train, it's just because oh shit, this gives me Halo 4 flashbacks.
They can look at the entire timeline of the universe and they can manipulate it to their will, right? And so we're kind of left with the question is, have we been in control this whole time? Have we been in control of our own fate?
Apparently not.
With our paracausality the whole time. And so you kind of have this thematically where you have this anti-causal energy.
This anti-causal energy is why we've been under control when we thought we were not under control. To make some contrived point about how we're going to get Red Subclass.
From the 9, because they like to say they're in control of our fate, right? They're the ones pulling the strings. So thematically, these are opposing energies. Paracausality is to say, I make my own fate, while anti-causality is to say, I make your fate.
Whoa.
Right? From the
Dude, I think you might be onto something, guys.
Nine's perspective, I make my own fate, I make your own fate, right? If you've
Right?
ever watched Gurren Lagann,
Oh, fuck, man. Dude, girl, log on. Oh my god. This is on the same level as, like, bringing up. Have you ever heard of Neon Genesis Evangelion? I'm gonna make a comparison to Ava, to Destiny 2.
it's a bit of a nerdy reference here.
Teehee, nerd
I kind of like to
culture.
think of it as like the
Bazinga.
spiral and the anti-spiral, if you know that lore from
Oh,
Gurren Lagann,
fuck.
where there's the forces of the spiral, right?
Dude, the spiral energy, like, is all about, like, life and, like, perseverance, but then, like, the anti-spiral is to destroy all of that. Even within this analogy, the anti-spiral is more akin to dark than fucking the nine, okay? Like, are we just gonna talk about entropy? Because then I can cite the lore cards at that point. Darkness is always gonna be about entropy. I mean, that's what Stasis was trying to allude to. Fuck, man. What anime does to a guardian.
And there's the forces of the anti-spiral. We have the forces of paracausality, which is the humans, the guardians, the forces of
No, that's not true. That's not true. Like, paracausality is just. I'm spurting out on a video made by a guy who doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about a game that no one cares about anymore.
anti-causality, the nine. You could also draw a kind of parallel between the existence of like matter and antimatter.
No.
Where paracausality you could say is kind of like matter, right? And anti-causality is like antimatter. Now, I'm no physicist, but what I do know about this stuff is like these are different types of stuff that are like opposite, okay? They're like completely opposite from one another, so that when they come together, it cancels each other out. 1 plus -1 equals 0, right?
It would just amount to the same thing it was before. There's just one.
It's kind of the same thing with causal and anti-causal abilities, where when paracausal energy meets anti-causal energy, they cancel each other out.
So, under this premise, if we did get, like, let's say we did get the red subclass and it is anti-causal, whatever, wouldn't that just mean that it would, like, any interaction between those two, like, if you threw Strand and then they throw an Eclipse, would it just cancel each other out? Because that's basically what they all do right now. Like, Solar and Stasis don't really have any special interaction aside from throwing out a fucking hitbox in the game. Like, that, they don't actually have any substance.
And that's what we saw in the many different cutscenes of Edge of Fate, where when the Eclipse energy was used against paracausal abilities, like the light, like the dark, it was able to completely negate the paracausality. You're supposed to make your own fate with paracausal abilities, but Eclipse was able to put an end to that, right? And for this reason, I think these guys are opposed, right? And so Eclipse is this energy that, although is not paracausal, is still in a way equal to, but opposite of paracausal energy.
What?
And so there is a world in which this Eclipse energy could be used in a similar way as paracausal energy is through the light and darkness subclasses. It just wouldn't be light or dark or paracausal, it would be its own thing. And
Then it wouldn't fit in. It wouldn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit in. It has no bearing, okay, on any of this. Like, I'm just repeating myself because it just boils down to it. If you're looking for a third darkness subclass, it has to be dark, 1, and 2, it has to be paracausal because darkness is paracausal. So to say that they would just arbitrarily come up with, like, a new thing and then kind of squeeze it in with the dark, paradigm or whatever, at that point you just say, well, here's an argument you can make. Destiny is stupid, Bungie is stupid, and because of that, anything goes, even this. And at that point, I would agree with you.
a paracausal guardian could use an anti-causal ability like Eclipse. and not die, right? But what we learned from the Renegades campaign is that the Nine can be bound to human bodies, right? So the Nine, which
Going with the premise that they're outside of time, so they see time like a fucking circle, whatever. They go inside someone's body. They're basically seeing things linearly. It's a temporary. I'm just making an assumption. I don't even think Bungie would have thought this far. I think they just say shit and then watch people come up with their own reasoning.
they are no longer capable of existing outside of time. It's almost as if they come into third dimension.
So I don't even know where they use the eclipse bullshit in game, but like, if they use eclipse outside of when they're outside of time, then why would they suddenly be able to use it when they're bound by this premise? Well,
Space through this weird sci-fi way, and they are no longer able to manipulate fate. There is some lore about this where, whenever Six went into Dredge and Bale's body to speak, it was unable to like see the future and predict our plans. So for that reason, to bind all nine to a human body, it will allow us to deny their ability to make our fate. It would be a way to.
but you're also proposing that eclipse is that anti-causal thing, which in your definition just means to control someone else's fate, to control someone else's paracausality, whatever. At that point, you can't do it, right? Because you no longer have access to the power.
Deal with their anti-causal energy. So if, in some way, the Guardian that we play as is capable of binding one of the nine to ourselves, the source of this anti-causal power, it might in some way make us immune to anti-causal energy, which will allow us to use both paracausal and anti-causal.
Don't believe this vaccine shiller.
A part of that is like just video game logic and sci-fi mumbo jumbo, but like in the realm of Destiny, where the lore can sometimes be like made up on the spot, I don't think it's that bad of an idea, right? So
You wouldn't, because it's your idea and it's bad.
in conclusion, let's summarize this theory for a little bit.
In conclusion, because Siva is red and Siva is in Destiny, Destiny 2 third subclass for Dark will be Siva. I think it's that simple. Okay?
Okay? Eclipse energy, which was revealed to us in the campaign, the Renegades campaign,
Star Wars.
is comes from the Nine, right? The Nine bestowed this eclipse energy, and this energy is anti-causal, which is opposite but equal to.
It's the opposite, but it's also not the opposite.
Paracausality, because the nature of anti-causality is to say, I make your own fate, while the nature of paracausality is to say, I make my own fate. And so because eclipse energy is not paracausal, it still has the ability to manipulate fate in the same way paracausality does. And for that reason, it would still be capable of being wielded in a way similar to light and darkness subclasses, without breaking the lore in any weird way, where it's a conventional means of battle instead of a way that breaks the laws of the universe. So this still breaks the laws of the universe, it's just in the opposite way as it does paracausality. And so for that reason, if they're able to explain away the obliteration between these two forces, we could use the eclipse energy as a subclass. So
No.
I think that's it. It was a little bit of word salad. I don't think I did this very